And try to make it like a tabletop. This is cup number 3. I literally, I mean this. I thank God for coffee. I really do. I thank God for all the good things, right? I thank Him in the bad things because He's there, with me. I don't thank Him for the bad things. That'd be kind of crazy. Ugh. Popped one. But, yeah, I'm going to take these off, I think. That way I don't get so concerned with things that I think are maybe kind of silly things, like how do I look on this camera? Because I can't see me really. There we go. But, so, gosh, we didn't get a storm last night that I was aware of. That chair's awful dirty though, but it was, I used to have a swimming pool service. I'm one of those people, I did go to college, but I didn't make anything of, I didn't get a degree. Gosh, I was in the Army, I was in law enforcement in the Army, and I was in Germany, and military policeman 95 Bravo 10. Yeah, I wanted to be a police officer. When I got out of the service, I right away, well, not right away, but almost right away, I got with the Phoenix Police to do what's called like a ride-along, and then from there I was gonna try and build up some time in that, right along with Phoenix Police, and then apply, go to the academy and become a Phoenix police officer. And I had a really bad experience with the police officer, that the first one that they had me ride along with, and it was awful bad. It was short bad, but it was one of the first things this guy did was, it was just a single officer. There wasn't two, I don't know where would I have sat. I wouldn't want to sit in the back, right, like I was being arrested or something. But this police officer, first thing he did was, we drive into downtown, kind of downtown Phoenix, not downtown, but just down in there. And he goes and he parks behind a shopping center, and he said, yeah, we'll just park here and then wait for a call. And then he starts telling me this story about this guy that they had arrested like a night or two before. So anyway, so we're sitting there and he's telling me about this arrest that they did. And then he says, yeah, and then this guy like grabs himself and says to me and the other officers, you blank and want to blank, you want to blank with me? Here, you can blank this. And he said he undid his pants and pulled out said, here, you can blank this. You want to blank with me? You can blank this. And I'm sitting I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and I'm like, looking out the window kind of, and he goes, yeah, no, seriously, he was like this, look at this. And I look over, and he's like grabbing himself, and then goes, I'm serious. I go, he took it out? Oh, yeah, he he did and this cop unzips his fly and gets his hand in there and starts to pull himself out. And I'm like looking at and he goes, no, this is what he did. And I didn't freak out, but I just said, you know, I want to go, I want to leave. I want to leave. And he was like, well, what? And I said, I just want to leave. I want to get out of here. And anyway, there was this exchange. It was enough that he began acting pretty nervous, and he took me back to the station. I think the station was like at 24th Street in Lincoln, I think. And anyway, and I left, and I just went home, and I put it behind me. And they had called about I don't know when. I don't think it was that day. Maybe it was the next day, about scheduling me for another ride along, and I just said I wasn't interested and stuff. And you know what it did? I mean, this is what you try to make heads or tails of things in life, right? And so this is all I can kind of apply to it, is that when I was a kid, I would go around and just knock on doors and see if I could, wash a car, mow a lawn, clean stuff up, make a buck. And the guy across the street from us hired me to people didn't have irrigation systems back then. If they did, it was because they were really rich. And those irrigation systems, honestly, were made of like galvanized metal. I don't even know if they had PVC then. But anyway, this guy across the street, he and his wife, they built this brand new house right across the street from us, and he was seeding the front and back with TIF seed. So they hired me to water it. And Arizona, I mean, I probably watered it. You had to water it super light. You didn't want to have a washout for the seed to wash away. You didn't want it to puddle and all this stuff. So there was a way to do it. And I was just a little kid, but I knew how to do it. I love plants. I love landscape. But anyway, this so I did that. I don't know, half a dozen times or more, maybe a day. And but there was one time when this guy, his wife was at work. She was an administrator, or she worked at the time, I think, for an administration at a huge hospital here in the valley. And he was an electrician. He was a union electrician, but he would get home early. And Arizona's pretty normal, right? I mean, construction workers in the summertime sometimes will start at like 5, whatever that is, like 6. But so I was over there and I was watering, and it was in the backyard, and I was finishing up when he got home, and if he was home, he'd pretty much take it from there. So he would do, in a few hours, he would give it a light watering and stuff himself. But he had asked me if his wife had paid me, and I said, no, I hadn't been paid yet. He goes, I'll be in the house. He goes, just come around to the front door and just come in. And so I was in the backyard. I get everything cleaned up. I went through the gate to the front door that was right there where their carport was. And I knocked. And this guy, I could hear him yell, just come in. And so, I opened the door, walked in, and he's like, the front door's here, and then that was the living room. It walked right into the living room, but there was a hallway, and then it was a 2-bedroom house. There was a bedroom on the right, and then the master bedroom was on the left. And he was standing there in the bedroom, and he's got a robe on, but it's open, and he's buck naked, and I'm like, you know, just common sense, right? I'm not going to look at him and stuff, but he comes out, and and um, and he closed his robe and everything, so everything went to normal, and then he goes, here, sit here, I'll be right, just give me a minute. And so I sat there, and then he goes up the hall, and well, the chair I was sitting in just had this straight view, and then he's in the master bedroom, and he takes the robe off, he's buck naked, so I'm just like, again, just kind of looking around, not, I'm giving this guy privacy, right? And I was either almost 10 or I was 10. And this guy, I'm connecting this like with this police officer some years later, okay? That police officer was like, no, look, and anyway, this guy, he's talking to me, and you can tell when somebody is talking to you and trying to get your undivided attention, right? It's not that difficult to, discern. And, I was replying and stuff to him and responding, but not looking at him because he's still naked. It's like, how much more is there to dry off? And he goes, have you ever seen anything this crazy looking? And I look up, he's wearing, it was like a jock, right? But it didn't cover his thing. It was like a band, but then it had like a flat spot thing on it. And he goes, come here. And I go, nah, you know what? Let me come back. I'll come back. I'll just take care of it tomorrow. And he goes, no, I got your money right here. Come here. Let me give you your money so you can get out of here. And it's so I walk back there, and he's got this thing on, right? And he goes, you ever see anything? And he goes, yeah. He goes, the doctor told me I need to wear this because of a hernia. And he goes, it puts pressure, on where this hernia is. It's supposed to heal it or help it or something. Anyway, then he goes, oh, brother, look at that. And he's getting an erection. And I'm really not comfortable at all. And he tells me, he goes, just put your hand on it. And I didn't. He goes, just put your hand on it, touch it. He goes, if you touch it, it'll make it go away. He goes, didn't you know that if another guy touches your thing, and it'll just make it go away? And I started getting this panicky kind of, and I just said, I don't want to touch it. And he goes, he kept pushing me to, and I made this mad dash to that living room door, and he beat me to it. At this point, he was, for the most part, buck naked. To be naked, it was hard to swallow. It was bad to be naked because he just was like, took it off and was insistent. I'm just going to take this thing off. I'm not going to wear this now. Anyway, it was uncomfortable. It was complicated. It was a lot of things, and it was not a safe feeling. But he beat me to the door, and I was not. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'4.5". But I was a little kid then. They kept. Who knew I was going to be 6'4", 6'4.5". So anyway, this guy this guy raped me. He he held me down, um, shoved my face into the carpet. It was right there in the living room, and he pulled my shorts down, and 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 he was angry. Man, he was angry, and he just it was not a lengthy experience, but you couldn't have told me that then. I mean, it hurt. It hurt super bad, and I was crying. I was all tears and snot, um, and he anyway, it really hurt. But when he was done, man, he just said, "This is all your fault. You made this happen. If you would have just touched it, none of this would happen," and all this stuff. And then he went on ranting that he would kill my mom and my dad if I said a word, and he was adamant. I mean, they lived across the street. He showed me guns that he had. He showed me knives. I'm scared of knives to this day. Not scared of guns, but man, I was pretty shaken up. And anyway, so that happened, and I when I left his house, it was like getting dusky. It wasn't dark, but it was getting there. It was gonna get there, and so anyway, I got back home, and I just man, have you ever just had something happen? Have you ever been sound asleep and something just wakes you up like super harsh, like boom, right? I mean, it's not like a medium or slow wake up. It's just like jolt, and you're just you can't even feel any blood in your face or anything like. You're just like, like a panic feeling, and that's how I felt when I walked across the street, went home. Dinner was getting ready, and I went right to the bathroom, and I was just inside. I was raised in a really good home. I'll call it a Christian home, but like it wasn't an active Christian home. I mean, my mom drank kind of a lot, and my mom and dad fought a lot, and stuff, and anyway, we didn't go to church or anything like that. My dad would always have us pray before dinner. It was always one of those deep, heartfelt prayers. Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest. Let these gifts. Anyway, and so, he meant well, and then back then and stuff. But anyway, I went in the bathroom, man. I went in there. I locked the door, and I just was kind of freaking out. I mean, I sat down on the toilet. There was blood in my underwear. I was terrified, like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I can't throw these in the trash. My mom will find out. They'll find out. And then, the Inquisition will happen, and then he'll kill my family. It was crazy stressful, really stressful. But here's my point man, what is up with the fly in my left shoulder? I think there was a thread kind of on that, with that, and And then somehow that thread was connected to what happened with that police officer when he actually unzipped his fly and was going to pull it out, just to emphasize what this guy that they arrested was, it's like acting it out. But at that point, I was a lot older, and I stood my ground, and something I should have done when I was 10 years old. And it's kind of like the movies or something where you watch something and the person is caught stealing from a bank or doing something like really bad, like they're used, what do they call it, as like a patsy or something like that, and so they get arrested, and then the person is just like not talking. When they finally talk, they're like, they have my family. They said they'll kill my family if I don't do this. You know what? Those are probably pretty true scenarios, because it happened with me that if I told anybody, this guy would kill my family. Anyway, so this police officer drove me back to the station. I left. I got in the car and I left, and then and I didn't pursue. Leave my coffee alone. That wasn't a fly. What was that? Like a bee or something? Bees don't like coffee. Yeah. These things mold and shape people. It really does. Anyhow, so I didn't become a Phoenix police officer. Hey there. I just was watching the video that I did this morning, and realized I never even placed an ending on that video. And I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I'm new at this, and so this is all real brand new to me. I did like put some text stuff in that video, inviting you to please like it, and to please subscribe, to please share it, and I appreciate that. Let's like end this though properly on something positive, something good. And so, the Bible says, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And we really do have so many good things to be thankful for. And so I'm thankful for all of you that are taking the time to watch this video. But I love you. See ya.